Hi again guys, time for another video. This one looking at the other case study in Living World. This will be the Amazon rainforest that you should be studying. If you're in year 10, you can expect this probably to be studied around about November, December, possibly earlier. And if you're in year 11, this is obviously a revision for you, so I'm hoping this is useful for you in many different ways. So much like the Thar Desert, the way to view the rainforest is to split it down: opportunities, challenges, and management strategies. I think doing that makes it a lot easier. Now, in this video, I won't go over every single thing about the rainforest, not about the nutrient cycle, not about the climate, because that's stuff that you have done in other topics. I'm hoping you can remember that and revise that elsewhere and use that here. For example, you know why the conditions in the rainforest are humid and wet and hot because of their location, their latitude, low pressure, etc. But in terms of revising the Amazon rainforest, I think the first thing to do is obviously know the context, so know where it is. It's in South America, mostly covering Brazil, but covers other countries too. Know why it's important, so the amount of oxygen it provides for the world. Its nickname is the lungs of the earth because it helps us breathe ultimately. In terms of characteristics, so know about the animals that I mentioned in a previous video about how they adapt to living in the rainforest. And in terms of knowing why it is the way it is, that's quite important. But I'll start this session with basically looking at the main issue surrounding the rainforest, and that is deforestation. So deforestation is the removal of trees from an area, and ultimately you need to look at two things about this: the causes and the impacts, a lot like with earthquakes. So much like with earthquake case studies, let's start with the causes first. Why is area like the rainforest being deforested? Well, ultimately it's for economic reasons. It's to make money. Different ways, of course, but it is to make money. Countries like Brazil could do with the money, and that's why they use it as a resource. The whole idea between whether you should conserve the rainforest or use it, obviously if you're a poorer country, you're wanting to use it for money. So the first cause is overcultivation, basically farming. Areas are cut down and used for farming, whether it be crops like soy, or it could even be cattle. So cattle farming and commercial and subsistence farming is where the area of the rainforest is cut down and used for farming. Now that is good in some ways. It provides food, provides jobs, provides money, but ultimately it's costing the rainforest. We'll look at the impacts later. You've also got urbanization. So Brazil needs some of the land for housing, for roads, because the population in Brazil is getting bigger. Also, it's cut down for energy. So dams, for example, you cut the rainforest down to make hydroelectric dams, for example. Or mining, resources like gold, oil, timber, the wood, the trees. Many different reasons. Ultimately, they are to do with the economy. Now, the reason why you wouldn't do this is for the environment. So let's take a look at the impacts, because there are good impacts. You can make money, you can get medicine from deforestation, you can improve your economy, but ultimately, when you deforest an area, it has negative environmental impacts and sometimes negative social ones too. Don't forget, tribes live in the rainforest, and if you're cutting down where they live, that's going to be some social problems. You've also got the impacts of climate change, of course. So every tree you cut down releases CO2 into the atmosphere. It's a carbon sink, the rainforest, so cutting it down is going to cause more CO2 to be in the atmosphere, and that obviously contributes towards global warming more widely. You've also got biodiversity loss, so cutting down trees where animals live and obviously plants are is going to kill them and have a negative impact on the ecosystem more widely. And if you're cutting down trees, then what's happening is you can see that the roots are not going to be in the ground anymore, therefore the soil is of a poorer quality. Okay? So now it's about applying these to the rainforest more directly. Deforestation, yeah, that happens in many different rainforests. It's about knowing how it affects Brazil's economy. It's about how it affects Brazil's economy in terms of making money through farming, for example. So that's ultimately the pros in terms of economy and the negatives in the environment. The last thing is about how you sustainably manage this. So there's 4 different ones I want to go through with you very quickly. The first way of managing the problem of deforestation is selective logging. That basically means not every tree can be cut down, only certain trees can be. So you reduce deforestation of a wide area, and you have certain areas where trees may be cut down and then they must be replanted. This way you don't lose any trees and you're reducing the rates of deforestation. Similarly, linked to that is afforestation. So obviously planting more trees tackles the problem of deforestation, of course, and then that obviously has good impacts on the environment, biodiversity, carbon dioxide emissions, etc. Ecotourism. So when I went to the rainforest, for example, we couldn't just walk everywhere. You have certain areas where they're protected. You prevent erosion. You have areas that are protected from people in general. They can help building certain things or planting trees or mining sustainably, for example. And the last one really is debt reduction. So what that means is a country like the USA, for example, can step in and say to Brazil, listen, don't worry about cutting the rainforest down to pay us back. We'd rather you keep the rainforest to not pay us back. Because think about this. Brazil is not a HIC. It's not a wealthy country. If they owe the USA, for example, or the UK, if they owe, say, £5 billion, a major way they'll get that money is by cutting down the trees for medicine, for wood, for gold, for oil, for farming stuff. So a HIC like the UK or the USA, who might not need that extra money, might think for the benefit of the whole planet, for the benefit of climate change, actually, let's reduce that debt. We'd rather Brazil, in return for you not cutting down the rainforest, let's work something else out. Let's maybe scrap that debt, reduce that debt to protect the rainforest. So that's a way of sustainably managing the Amazon rainforest. There's more to it, of course, in terms of the Amazon rainforest itself. But again, for a question, it's more likely to come up on the animals, opportunities, challenges. If you can know the basics, how big it is, where it is, some key facts like that, and then you use this key core information in your answer, interwoven in your answer, then you should be sorted, you should be golden. Again, it's great to interact with you guys. I'm really looking forward to seeing your comments for this one. Any questions, please ask them below. Any answers you have for me, you want me to mark, I'll mark them for you. Literally, I'll do it as soon as you comment. I'll mark and tell you how many marks you would have got for an answer. A good question, like a 6 marker for this one, might be discuss the impacts of deforestation in a rainforest you've studied. Or it might be to what extent is the rainforest an economic benefit, for example. And you look at how it's good for the economy, but also maybe bad for the environment if you deforest an area. Brilliant. Okay, we'll do a couple more for maybe Living World if I can think of any to do, and then we'll be on to Rivers and Coasts. Take care, guys. See you soon, all right?